Hey everybody, thanks for watching Water and Ice Outdoors again. My name's Pete. Today I'm going to give you an inside look at my boat and all my summer setups. So stay tuned. Alright guys, so if you've been following me for any amount of time, which a lot of you have been, you'll probably know that I fish out of a Nitro bass boat. It's a 17-foot 700 LX model. It's a 98, and it's been in my possession for about 2 years now, and it's been an absolute fantastic boat. Can't say enough about it. It's performed exactly how I wanted it to. Never had any problems, and I can't say anything bad about it. So let's go over here, check out the motor. It's a Mercury 125 EFI. It gets me up to about 50 miles an hour when it's just me in the boat, and with another guy in the boat it gets me to about, say 40, 45. Stainless steel prop, and runs like a charm. It's been a great boat, great motor for me so far. Haven't had any issues with it. Alright guys, a lot of you have seen these decals before, but first decal on my boat is obviously my YouTube channel decal. Second one is Woo Tungsten. They're the first promotional staff that I joined. They make some great tungsten weights, pitching weights, flipping weights, drop shot weights, really good stuff. I use them exclusively. And then the next ones that I have are on my console windshield line cutters, which make these really cool line cutting tools, which I've featured on a couple of my videos. And then Strike King. I'm not affiliated with Strike King at all. I just love their lures. They make phenomenal lures. And then the next decal is probably the most important one. This American flag with the red line through it. I'm actually a firefighter EMT for my town, and this means a lot to me, not just because I'm a firefighter, but it just kind of is a thank you to all the people that are either first responders, firefighters, EMTs, paramedics, police, and military out there. They deserve the highest respect, and I just thought it was a good way to show that. So those are my decals, guys. Let's get to the inside of the boat. Alright guys, so I actually put these seats in just this spring. They're new seats, aftermarket seats. They're actually pretty nice. If you've owned a boat or a bass boat, it's not easy to replace bass boat seats. They're expensive, they're hard to find, and the website that I used was bassboats.com, I believe, or no, bassboatseats.com, and they actually worked really well. So it worked well for me. They've been good seats, and it made the boat look instantly nicer. So my old seats were a little torn up, so these are a huge upgrade. Let's go to the first compartment here that's open. This is kind of my miscellaneous compartment. It's got a bunch of stuff that I use. Weigh-in bag, obviously, for bass tournaments. Then we've got a bunch of GoPro stuff, chesty mount, other things, suction cup mount. Then we got our G-force cull scale, which is always important for tournament fishing. And then we've got a towel, some extra fishing line, a couple bottles of water, and that's pretty much it for that. My rain gear usually goes in there. This back compartment is where the gas tank is, the live well, my batteries, my battery charger, just everything you need if you ever need to fix your motor or anything that's working inside your boat. It's all in that compartment pretty much. Next compartment. This is my soft plastic compartment, and I throw a ton of soft plastics. I'm sure if you watch my videos, you see that I love to throw under docks. I love to pitch to shoreline cover, trees, that kind of stuff. So plastics are huge for me. So I keep them in Ziploc bags. This is my creature bait bag. You can see pretty full. Then we've got my worm bag. I pretty much throw either Yum or Strike King plastics, if you're wondering. Next we've got swim baits, and then this is my walleye plastics. I do fish walleye sometimes. Then we've got more swim baits, and then a tube bag, and then we also have a drop shot bag with all sorts of smaller drop shot plastics. So that's what's in there. Also, we've got a digital scale in here, a marker buoy just in case I'm crappie fishing or fishing deep and come across a school of fish. And then we've got our live well. I have 2 live wells in this boat. It's the same live well, but they're separated into 2 compartments. And I'll pick you up here and show you. So you can see it's separated into 2 different compartments here. You can see how dirty it's gotten because we've actually been catching fish in our tournaments lately. And then that's my G-Force, or my TH Marine conservation cull system. So those are really nice cull tags. Don't puncture the fish's mouth, which is big for the fish because their mouth is really key in sucking up food and moving water in through their gills. So damaging their mouth is not good, and those puncture tags that a lot of people use really aren't doing the fish any good. So these conservation culls just kind of pinch on their mouth. They don't go through, just like a fish grips basically. So it's a lot safer for the fish, a lot healthier for it. All right, the console, pretty standard console. Got my speedometer, RPM gauge, battery gauge, fuel gauge. Nothing too crazy with it. Nothing too crazy. This switch runs my lights. This switch runs my live well. And then I've got a horn over there and a bilge right there. I don't use the bilge because mine's automatic. It just comes on when it senses water. But that's pretty much it for the console. I run a Garmin EchoMap 73 with down imaging. It's got chirp, 2D, and down imaging. It's a 7-inch screen. It's a nice unit. I've had it since I got the boat. Came with the boat actually, so it works really nicely. I'm probably going to upgrade it to a Helix 7. And you'll see why in a second here. But that's the console, guys. Alright guys, this is where all the action happens in this boat. Unless Bill's sitting in the back, then some action happens in the back. But this is where I fish from. Obviously, it's where I control the boat when I'm not sitting at the console. We've got a bunch of different cabinets here. First one over here, kind of another miscellaneous cabinet. Got my life jackets in here. Got a net in here. Got some extra tackle storage in here as well. Got some of my musky stuff because that doesn't fit in with all my bass stuff in my tackle storage here. The one complaint I have about this boat, I wish I had a little more tackle storage, but I can't complain too much. Second compartment is my tackle storage. And it's got everything I need. I've got a couple of my staple baits here that I don't use terribly often, but if I need to switch something up or change strategies, these are the 3 baits I'm usually going to switch to, so I just have them sticking up in this foam for easy access. First tackle box I got here is my terminal tackle. It's got all my hooks, all my weights, all my got all my hooks, all my weights, everything I need. If I break a hook, if I snap my line, I come right to this. It's got my drop shot hooks, worm hooks, all that. So everything I need right in here. Second box is my jigs and my top waters. So I've got Hedon Spooks, which probably the most underrated topwater bait on the market. Old school bait, but it works unreal. Got a bunch of frogs, football jigs, poppers, and then just regular jigs up here as well. I don't really have a preference on jigs. They're all pretty much the same to me. I pick them just in terms of which colors that I like and the weights that I can find. Next box, my favorite box, crankbaits. All the crankbaits that I throw are Strike King, either KVD 2.5 or 1.5 square bills, or 5 and 6 XD deep diving crankbaits from Strike King, and then KVD jerkbaits. You know, everybody makes great crankbaits, but personally, I love the action that Strike King crankbaits have. I've had the best success with them, the best hookup ratios with them, so that's why I use them. I love Strike King. Then my last box I've got is just some random soft plastics. I've got some Rage Craws in here, I've got some Rage Swimmers in here from Strike King, and then just some random tubes and worms in case I need them. And then I've got the plopper box. Not really a huge fan of the Whopper ploppers right now. I've only caught like 2 fish on them. I will say the 2 fish that I've caught were some of the most vicious, 2 of the most vicious topwater strikes I think I've ever seen. So, you know, people go crazy over these, and I think there's something to it. But currently, my spooks outfish these every day of the week. I am planning on doing a video on these and really giving them a good go early morning one of these days and seeing what we can get with them. So stay tuned for that. And then I've got some more fluorocarbon and just some other braided lines and just some backup lines that I use. And here is the money locker. Take you guys here. These are where all my rod and reels are. I actually have a couple of rods that aren't in there right now, but you can see nice storage, got plenty of room for rods. Most of my spinning setups are over here, and then my bait caster setups are over here. And I'll bring those out and show them to you. All right, rods and reels. Let's start with the ones I don't use that much. I'll be completely honest with you, I'm not a huge finesse guy. I love power fishing, love crankbaits, love jigs. So these rods don't come out of my box too often. I'm trying to get a lot better with them because they are effective. I just don't enjoy fishing them as much. First one is my drop shot setup. So this is a Skeet Reese Wright McGill rod. It's a 7'2" medium with a very fast tip, and this is my drop shot setup. I've got a Fluger President reel on here, or excuse me, Fluger Summit reel. It's a budget reel, but it is really smooth. If any of you know Fluger, you know how smooth their spinning reels are. And then got my TUNGSTEN drop shot weight on here. So that's pretty much my drop shot rig. Next rig is just a straight finesse rod. It's my rod for Ned rigging, or as you can see, wacky rigging here. And this is a Shimano Claris. These rods are extremely nice rods. They run anywhere from 70 or 80 to 100 bucks. Normally you can find them somewhere for about 80 bucks. Extremely sensitive, extremely reliable, and just has a great bend on it to fight the fish when you're using finesse light line. It's just a phenomenal rod. And this reel is one of my newer reels, actually my newest reel, and I am in love with this reel. It's a Daiwa Legalis. This came out, I believe, this model came out 2 years ago or last year at ICAST. This reel, I'm gonna tell you a secret. This reel goes for $69.99, and it feels like a $200 spinning reel. This Legalis from Daiwa, I'm a Daiwa guy to begin with. I run mostly, as you'll see here, I run mostly Shimano rods and Daiwa reels. This is the first Daiwa spinning reel that I've owned, and it is by far the smoothest reeling reel and the smoothest drag I've ever had on a spinning reel, and that's for 70 bucks. I mean, you can't, this is probably the best budget, I don't want to call it a budget, but the best reel for your money that's on the market right now. It's amazing. It really is. Alright guys, let's get to the fun stuff now. My favorite rods here. Alright, this first one, if I can get it out of here, is my Quantum Team KVD crankbaiting rod. This is a 7.4 medium heavy crankbaiting rod. It's long, it's powerful, and I use this for my deep crankbaits. I've got it with a loose speed spool reel. This is really my only non-Daiwa bait caster. I'll probably replace it with one at some point, probably a Tatula, but for right now this is doing all I needed to, so I haven't changed it. And then on here, as a deep diver, I've got a 5XD. Honestly, you just can't beat it. So this is my deep cranking setup. It's long. It provides really good casts because it is so long. I can cast it really far. And I've got Suffix 832 braid on here. I recently ran into a couple people that didn't know Suffix 832 sinks. It's actually one of the few braids that actually sinks. Most braid floats, and because it does sink, it allows deep crankbaits to get down and dive even deeper. So it's something to think about. Next rod is my newest rod. It's the first one that I've had from this company. This is a Dobbins Fury, and I heard a lot of really good things about this company, so I really wanted to give it a try. I've only caught a few fish on it so far, but it's felt really good, felt really sensitive. And this is a 7'2", medium heavy, more towards the heavy side, with a fast tip. It's got a really big backbone. I use this for deep water jigging and punching heavy weighted skirt rigs into lily pads. So heavy cover, deep water. This is for throwing big weights and catching big fish. So I've got this. This is paired up with a Daiwa Fuego, another great cost-efficient reel. This reel is usually around $100, but you can usually, Cabela's or Bass Pro usually has them on sale for somewhere around 60 to 70 bucks, almost 3-4 times a year. So it feels great. It's very smooth, and it's a powerful reel. It's a really nice reel. So if you're looking for a cheaper bait caster that's affordable but still quality, the Daiwa Fuego is for you. Next rod. This is my frogging and jigging rod. So if I'm throwing lighter jigs or your standard type jigs, standard weight jigs, or frogs, I'm throwing this rod. This is a Shimano Claris again, 7'2", medium heavy again, with a fast tip. Generally I've got a frog tied onto this like you see, and I've got it paired with a Daiwa Aired bait caster. This is a little older bait caster, maybe 5 years old. They still make the aired line, but it just looks different. And I've got Power Pro 60-pound braid on here. So when you're getting into the slop, you want to be able to bust right through it, and that's what the Power Pro braid does. So that's that rod, frogging and jigging. Next rod is my shallow crankbait rod or my jerkbait rod. Again, it's a Shimano Claris rod, 7 foot, medium heavy, fast tip. And as you can see, I've got a jerkbait tied on, and this is my antique Daiwa. This is a Procaster tournament series. This is probably my first bait caster I've ever owned, and it's starting to show its age. I've actually got a Daiwa Tatula CT on the way, and it's going to replace this. It was a great reel while it lasted, but the bail's not working anymore. I got to flip it back up when I am ready to engage the reel. So it was a great reel while it lasted, but it's time to retire it. Also have Power Pro braid on here, only 20 pound though, because I'm just cranking with it, and usually I'm not in too heavy of a cover. So. Alright, last rod. You guys will recognize this rod. This is my Texas rig rod that I flip shallow cover with. Docks, trees. Absolutely love this rod, and you're going to be surprised when I say it. It is a budget rod. This is a Shimano Celis, 6'6". I like the 6'6" because it gives me more accuracy when I'm flipping around docks or casting to docks or casting under trees, and it gives me more clearance to cast because it's shorter. Usually I'm Texas rigging with this. I've got my favorite setup here, TUNGSTEN 1/8 ounce bullet weight with a Texas rig worm hook and a Strike King Rage Bug on here. Probably the best setup for casting to structure out there. You've seen me catch tons of fish on YouTube with this. Like I was saying, this rod is a budget rod. It's amazing. You can find this rod at Cabela's for, generally I believe it's a $69.99 reel or rod, but it goes on sale quite a bit around the $50 mark. And you're getting a very sensitive rod that can stand up to big fish. I've caught 5-pounders on this, no problem. And it's sensitive. It's got a great parabolic bend, so it fights the fish easy for a 6.5 foot rod. Usually the fish will feel a lot heavier on a shorter rod. They don't on this rod. And I've got it paired up with my Tatula CT 8-to-1 reel. This thing pulls in about 35 inches of line per reel turn. It's an amazing reel. It's got the T-wing system on it. If you haven't checked that out or you want to check it out, I've got a video that I'll link above that reviews this actual reel. And I've fallen in love with these Tatulas. I'm not going to buy any other bait casters because of how good these Tatulas are. If you haven't checked one out, I highly recommend it, no matter what reels you use. You know, Shimano Curados were the end-all be-all of bait casters, and then this came out, and I know a ton of Shimano guys that have switched over to these Tatulas and are really glad they did. So that's my last rod, guys, and reel. That's the boat. Thanks for joining us today. Thanks as always for checking out the channel. We're up to 322 subscribers, I believe, in like 7 months. Guys, I can't thank you enough for your support, for your views, and if you haven't subscribed yet, please do. Click that thumbs up button for me and click that notification bell. I haven't said that much here, but YouTube has changed, so you only get notified when I post a video if you have clicked that notification bell right next to the subscribe button. So do that if you want to be notified. Thanks for watching. Love all you guys. We'll see you next time on Water and Ice Outdoors.